items that you'll use to execute your command. On each tab is what's called a panel. For example, if you click the Systems tab, you'll see the HVAC panel. On each panel, you'll see the specific icons that will execute the task you're going to do. Also buried into the panels, you'll see more properties. For example, if I click on this little arrow on the HVAC panel, we'll see that we can get all the mechanical settings that have to do with ducts, pipes, and everything else. Go ahead and close out of this. What we're going to see now is the fact that if I click on something in the model, we'll see the user interface will change to help us with that item. For example, I just selected an elevation. We have a new temporary tab called Modify Views. We can crop it, we can split it, we can do specific things that have to do with the specific item that we have selected. The ribbon change, but our properties change as well. If you hit Escape, we'll see the default is the properties of the floor plan that you're in. Once you select an item, that property will reflect the actual item that you have selected. You'll see now all of these properties for our building elevation. If you hit Escape again, it will clear the selection. Just below the Properties panel is what's called the Project Browser. We'll see that we are actually in the One Power floor plan. The Project Browser contains all the specific views for our model. Because we have a 3D model, this replaces Windows Explorer. For example, if we scroll down the Project Browser, we can go to Elevations. So by doing that, we see that we can go through different views using the Project Browser, and we can use actual datum elevations. For example, in Plan, I can zoom in on this elevation marker and double-click right on my elevation. That opens up my east elevation. Another way to close the view is to click on the little X in the upper right-hand corner. That will clear your view. What may happen is you'll get a lot of views open. Each time you click on something here, a view will open here. Although it doesn't slow your computer down, it's good to close them out. On the very top, we have what is called the Quick Access toolbar. These are the most commonly used icons. If we see this Close Hidden Windows button with a little X, we can click that. That closes every view we had open other than the one that's current. To finish up, let's go ahead and go down to Power in our project browser. On the floor plans, let's double-click on One-Power and click the Save button. Now that you can navigate the interface, before long this alien planet will be like your backyard. On the Insert tab, you'll see the Link panel. On the Link panel is the Link Revit button. Go ahead and click that. Browse to where you have your architectural and structural models. Select the architectural, but don't double-click it. If you double-clicked it, just undo and go back to this step. Notice the entire model turns blue. This means you have it selected. On the Modify panel, click the Pin button. This makes it so you physically cannot move the model. Scroll down to the bottom until you see Revit Links. Right-click on Revit Links and select New Link. At the very bottom is what's called the View Control toolbar. You can change your scale, you can set your detail level, and you can set your visual style. To get back to the first floor, let's scroll up on our project browser and scroll down to Power, Floor Plans, One Power, and double-click it. It seems as though the background is too light. To change that, go to the Manage tab, and on the Settings panel, click the Additional Settings drop-down and go to Halftone Underlay. With the Halftone Underlay dialog open, let's change our weight to 1. We'll keep the halftone applied, but for the brightness, let's crank that up to 80. You can also type it in. Click OK. Now, to make sure we can place our MEP spaces into the model, select the underlay. Click on Edit Type. Under Constraints, make sure we check on Room Bounding. This allows our mechanical model to see the walls. Click Apply. Click OK. Notice that now we have the model selected. Our Modified Revit Links temporary tab is there. On our Link panel, click on Manage Links. This brings up our Manage Links dialog. Notice that you can have Revit, CAD, DWF, and even point clouds. Click on the Revit tab. Notice that the reference type is set to Overlay, and the saved path is relative. This means that if you copy the files to someone else's directory, it'll pick up the links. Click OK. Another way to get to this dialog is to scroll down on the project browser. We can drill into the Revit links by clicking the X. Notice that we have architecture and structural. Go ahead and right-click on architectural. Notice that we can reload it, unload it, open it, or even reload it from another directory. Hit escape a couple times. Go ahead and save your model. So as you can see, linking another model in Revit is pretty easy. And as you can see, almost every project will begin with this procedure. Now that you know how to do it the right way, you can start to get something done. Since we are working in a 3D model, we need to actually add building levels such as first floor, second floor, and so on. These levels will be at the same elevations as the architectural model. Although we can see the levels in the architectural model, we need to physically have these levels brought into our own model. We can copy these levels, luckily, into our model, then establish a monitoring system even, to make sure that when an architect moves their level, we're going to get a warning that our model needs to be coordinated and reviewed. The objective of this video is to create the necessary levels by copying in the architectural levels and monitoring them for movement. To get started, let's go down to our one power floor plan to see the levels. Let's zoom in over here where we see all this activity. There's a lot of different levels. That's because the structural and the architectural models are linked in. We can get rid of the structural model to kind of clean this up. To do that, we're going to look at the visibility graphics for the view elevation south left, which means that any change we make to our visibility graphics, we're not going to see in any other view. The first thing I want to do is go to Revit links. Let's physically uncheck structural.rvt. We did not unload this from the entire model. We just got it out of this view. Click Apply, and then click OK. We can see now that it's cleaned up a little better. I'm going to zoom in to our level 2 and our level 1. We'll see we have a level here and a level here that we can physically select. If we hover over these levels, we'll see that we can't select them. That's because these are in the architectural model. The first thing we should do, though, is kind of pull these levels over to the right so we can kind of see which is ours and which is theirs. To do that, go ahead and select level 2 anywhere on it. What we're going to see is a little 3D icon, which means that if I grip edit this or stretch it, it's going to stretch in every other view looking at our elevations. We also see a little padlock icon. This is going to constrain level 2 to level 1, meaning that if I drag it to the right or to the left, level 1 is going to follow along with it. For example, you see there's a little round grip right here. Go ahead and pick that by holding down your left button and drag it over to the right. You see how that behavior is. Level 1 moves along with level 2. That's great, Paz. To do that, we're going to want to align level 2 to the architectural level 2. To do that, go to the Modify tab. On the Modified panel, we're going to see an Align button. Click it. The procedure is, we need to first select the line we want to align to. Then second, we pick the line we want to physically move. So the first thing we need to do is select this line right here. You know you selected it when you see the temporary alignment line show up. Once you see that, go ahead and select level 2. Not only does it move level 2 up, but it changes its elevation to 18 feet. Hit escape twice to deselect level 2. The next thing we need to do is monitor these two levels. For example, if the architect wants to move their level to 16 feet, it would be nice for us to know that. To do so, go to the Collaborate tab and click on the Copy Monitor dropdown. Let's choose Select Link. Once Select Link is picked, pick anywhere on the architectural underlay. What's going to happen is we're going to get thrown into the Copy Monitor control. Under Tools, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to monitor. So go ahead and select Monitor. We're going to select our level 1 first. Then we're going to pick the same spot and select the architectural level 1. We're going to repeat that on level 2. Select level 2, then pick level 2 again. If we zoom out a little bit, we'll see a little heartbeat icon indicating that we have it selected. Now let's move into selecting more levels. Since the text is so big, we can come down and we can increase our scale. So let's click on 1/8 inch equals a foot. Let's set it to 1/2 inch equals a foot. Now, when we zoom back in on our levels, we can see them a lot more clearly. The next step is to copy. Make sure you click the Copy button. Then the Options toolbar, click on the Multiple button. Now, one of the more important things you need to do is, when you're selecting multiple items in Revit, hold down the Control key on your keyboard. Notice that you'll see a little plus sign next to your cursor. Click on level 3, Pan down a little bit. Hold the control key down, click on level 4. Pan down, control key, level 5. And then lastly, we're going to hold down our control key and click on the roof level. Click the finish button on the copy monitor panel. You may get a warning saying that families have been duplicated. That's absolutely fine. Close out of the warning. Now lastly, click on finish on the copy monitor. Once you've done this, you can select your levels and move them all out. Notice that you have all the levels selected. The next and last thing we'll do here is just go ahead and select the level. And instead of level quantum, let's hit the drop down and go 1/4 inch head. Notice that that turns on all of the bubbles here. Let's do that again. So we can select level 5, and we can see we have our modified levels, temporary panel up, and we can change the properties right here, the 1/4 inch head. Repeat that for level 4, level 3, level 2 and 1 should be all set. Zoom out and save your model. Now that we're locked into our architectural model, we can really begin the process of adding components. The objective of this video is to learn how to create floor plans from predefined levels and to allocate them to the proper disciplines. Just because we made the level, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to put a floor plan into our project browser, which is fine. We can do that now. So to create additional floor plans in our project browser, based on a predefined level, go to the View tab. On the Create panel, click the Plan Views dropdown. You'll see we can make floor plans and reflected ceiling plans. We'll do both of these in this video. Click Floor Plan. Notice that Revit will skip the floor plans we already have made. Since levels 1 and 2 already existed in our project, you'll see we have level 3, 4, 5, and roof. These levels can now be brought into our project browser. With level 3 selected, hold the control key down and click on Roof, level 5, and level 4, and then click OK. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is just a little housekeeping. In electrical, make sure you drill into lighting, drill into floor plans, and drill into ceiling plans, making sure that it's laid out the way I have it. Holding down the control key, let's select 1 lighting, 2 lighting, 1 ceiling, and 2 ceiling. Right-click and select Delete. That removes those from the project browser. Don't worry, we're going to put them back in a minute. What I want to do too, just to make everything consistent, let's right-click on 1 power. Let's go to Rename. Let's call this Level 1. And click OK. Right-click on 2 power. Rename. Let's call this Level 2. And then click OK. Now see we have Level 1 through roof. The next thing I want to do is make a lighting plan. So on the View tab, go to Plan Views and click the drop-down. This time I want to use Reflected Ceiling Plan. Notice we have all of our levels back in. Why? Because we deleted them from the project browser. It knows that it's going to be a ceiling plan. By holding down the Shift key, click on level 5. We don't need a reflected ceiling plan for our roof. Click OK. Now if you're looking at project browser, you might notice that Revit didn't really put it where we wanted it to. How could it know? So we're going to scroll down till we get to mechanical. We're going to drill into mechanical and notice that there's 3 question marks. I'll explain what that means. Drill into the 3 question marks, and you'll see now we have ceiling plans. If we drill into ceiling plans, notice here they are. What these question marks indicate is if we go up to electrical power, floor plans, and we select level 1, if you look at the properties of this, we'll see that the discipline is set for electrical, and the subdiscipline is set for power. We know what the discipline is here is mechanical. We don't know what the subdiscipline is though, because Revit didn't really put the subdiscipline in there. So what we're going to do is select level 1 ceiling plan. Under discipline, change the discipline to electrical. Change the subdiscipline to lighting. Hit apply. It's going to move that from the category. Repeat the procedure for each one. Unfortunately, we can't select them all and do it at once. Now, once we're done, in the project browser, let's scroll back up to electrical. We have lighting ceiling plans. We have power floor plans. That's generally how things are going to be laid out. So, since our project browser is loaded up with all of our floor plans, the stage is literally set to start adding to our model. Now that you are in Revit, you can forget about the 2D CAD layering system. This is because there's no such thing as layers in Revit. If we simply don't want to see lighting fixtures in a floor plan, wouldn't it be great to just uncheck electrical fixtures in a list somewhere and have them simply go away, as opposed to some convoluted layering system? Now, let's take a look at how to control the visibility graphics of a view. The first thing I'd like to do is pick on ceiling plans. So let's go to electrical, lighting, ceiling plans. Let's go down to level 1. This is because we told Revit to set it up as a view, as a ceiling plan. What we want to do, however, is control the visibility state, meaning we don't want to see any power, we don't want to see any ductwork, we don't want to see any cable tray or pipes. So to do this, we want to control the visibility graphics of the view. Let's make sure mechanical, electrical, and piping are all selected. Now, let's just start unchecking items we do not want to see. Don't want to see air terminals, cable tray fittings. We'll keep communication devices. We'll get rid of conduits. We'll keep data devices. Get rid of anything that pertains to ducts. We'll keep electrical equipment in case we want to show a panel or something like that. We'll uncheck electrical fixtures. We'll uncheck fire alarm devices, flux ducts and pipes. We'll definitely keep lighting devices and fixtures. We'll keep mechanical equipment in case we need to supply power to it. Uncheck pipe accessories, fittings, installations, and placeholders, and of course pipes themselves. We could do without plumbing fixtures. We'll keep security devices, and we'll uncheck sprinklers. Of course we want to keep wires. Click Apply, and then click OK. Now that those items are turned off, let's take a look and see how they're going to plot. If you go to the Manage tab, click on the Object Styles button. As I mentioned earlier in this video, there's no such thing as layers in Revit. So how do we control the line weights? Well, it's really simple. Air terminals, when viewed in plan or elevation, meaning projection, we have a line weight of 4. If we cut a section, it's not applicable. If we scroll down through here, you'll see that we have all of our line weights set based on how we want them to look. Either they're going to be very bold or they're going to be very light. But what does 5, 4, 1, what do these numbers actually mean? Hit OK here. While still in the Manage tab, go to Additional Settings. Let's go down to line weights. Revit will allocate in inches a line weight for each level going down. We have 1 through 16. We can make more, but to me 16 is more than enough. Revit's even smart enough that as the view scale reduces, so does the line weight. You get so much more control than you used to with the AutoCAD layering system. But the best part is it really takes no effort to control the line weight whatsoever. Click OK. The last thing I want to show you is what's called detail level. Notice that the walls are very thin. If we click our detail level and set it to fine, you'll see that now the walls show up as walls. And any other object that we want to view as fine is going to show up in the view. So, a life without layers. I have found this workflow to be a tremendous advantage to the old way of doing business. By creating views that only show what we want is going to come in handy down the road.